This is the Red All Over reaction show to Barnsley's very disappointing 2-1 defeat to playoff hopefuls now, Stevenage. We're going to react to yesterday's disappointing result and then we're going to look forward to Saturday as we welcome Reading to Oakwell. Let's get stuck into it. So, Tracy, obviously not the result we're looking for. It seems very much now like we are well and truly sort of going through the motions and waiting for the more competitive games coming up in terms of the playoffs. But it's not been a good watch for us, especially yesterday.
Have you come to me to let these two simmer longer?
Yeah, just well, it'll go one or two ways. It'll either calm down a touch, or they'll just even more angry by the time we get to them.
Yeah, I think they're going to simmer. Look at Craig's face; he's simmering, simmering. So yeah,
The steam coming out to Craig's ears.
yeah, it were awful. I don't think there's much other word to use than it were awful. And you know, when I've looked at what Colin said after the game, he says, "Oh, we went out physical. They were more physical than us." I can't buy that really. I just thought they wanted it more. They came at us. They closed us down. They did everything to us what we should have done to them. You know, they had one good striker up front who tore us to pieces, all of us to pieces. I mean, he had, you know, what he hit the post, he missed it pretty open, and it was just awful. It's hard to look at the side and pick a good player from that 11, really, and that is worrying. You know what worries me, without going into depth of the game, because I'm going to let these two do that. What worries me is that there are players that are progressively getting worse and worse with every game, and that frightens me. So, for example, yesterday they had an attack which they should have scored, where their right winger ran past first Luke O'Connell, who sort of ran with him for a bit, and then he went past Josh Earl like as when he put the afterburners on, and then he crossed it, and it went past two of our defenders, and it was only that, and I forget his name, the other centre forward, who should have had a couple, missed it, and I just thought, this is dreadful. We've got Luke O'Connell and Josh Earl, who are, you know, two of our better players, just not even, you know, not even attempting to put tackles in. The goals I will come to. The first goal were dreadful. We just sort of let Jamie Reid run through a few, and Cosgrove sort of were going to push him over and should have done and didn't. And then Adam Phillips didn't bother making a tackle, and dreadful. And then the free kick, wow. I mean, how we can concede two free kicks like that in two games with professional footballers and professional goalkeepers is just beyond me. Liam Roberts has been, you know, pretty outstanding, but it were poor. It were very poor. So yeah, I can't really give us any positives about yesterday. I don't think there were really any. I mean, I think even our goal was probably offside. It looked it. It certainly looked it from the camera angle I was watching. But other than that, we didn't really create much. We probably played, I reckon, for about 9 minutes. We actually started to put a bit of pressure on with about, 88 minutes. And I thought, oh, if only we'd done this for 60, maybe 70 as we asked for. But it's poor. We don't press. I'm at a loss. And it's been really, really negative everywhere today. And it's hard to defend anybody sort of linked to the team, the coaching staff at the minute, because it's poor. It's very poor.
Yeah, I think it is almost pragmatic and just the standard view at the minute. Al, just sort of discussing the game a bit. Obviously, as Tracy's mentioned, first goal, Jamie Reed's picked the ball up on the left-hand side. Just across, well, doesn't cross it in, but cuts back, sells Adam Phillips, and then drives into bottom left-hand corner. Roberts could have done slightly better with that one. Obviously, our goal, route one, Liam Roberts assist over top, Adam Phillips, and probably the only bit of quality now from us necessarily yesterday is lofts it over their keeper, makes it 1-0 against runner play. John Russell opportunity to make it 2-0, but didn't. And then their second goal, free kick. 25 yards out, doesn't even go high. It's an easy height for an easy take for Roberts, and it just goes underneath him. Not at all a good day at office.
It wasn't a good day at office, and I felt for the 839 fans who most of them had met Drip twice and ate costly.
Mm.
And if you're going following Reds, as I said, we went to Charlton on Saturday. The same thing happened, a free kick again, and you want something to cheer. And at end of game, they were really not happy with Neil Collins saying his football is not very good. I'll put it that way. And looking at it, there was nothing there again. What style of play we're playing? Long balls to nobody. Long balls to nobody. I think we had 55 possession, whatever, to 45, and most of that were passing square, back and forward. Nothing direct, and we're not playing through midfield. Yeah, we got a goal and thought, oh, come on, then we're up for this one after losing at Charlton. And then what a daft goal to get away. And in additional time, a poor goal again, poor defensively. And you think regroup and come on, let's take game to them. We've said we've not seen 245s all season, and we were lucky, as Tracy says, probably to see about 9-10 minutes of good football last night at Stevenage. And I will say the bully does that they made the mark on us. And McCart, what an error by McCart to lose that ball, slip and loose ball, and then get that free kick away. I did think at time that referee had not blown because he let him take a shot. But then watching it today again on iFollow, he actually blew straight away, thinking that he's pulled it back after that a shot, and referee did it correctly. He had blown up for free kick before he had a shot on target. But since we pulled back at home to Bolton on 5th of March, it's not been good. We've took 7 points from 18, and we've had 14 goals against. Our defence, honestly, truthfully, at the moment, I don't know what's gone off with our defence at the moment, because we were really good, we were solid, we at times we were weak, but what can you say? I'm struggling to see where the next 3 points are coming from, to be honest. And we don't play well at home, do we? It's not good at the moment being a Red.
So that confines that next 3 points win at Portsmouth or Blackpool. Two sides who got no to play for, which is lovely and helpful. Not like Blackpool are vying for playoffs and Pompey trying to win the league. Craig, Al's mentioned there's not necessarily a style of play that we could identify with yesterday, which I tend to agree with. It was very sort of long ball, aimless, no real playing through the thirds necessarily. And something that we've not really seen all season is obviously the intensity of a high pressing game, which I understand to a degree, given that we've got a brand new back three, and if we were to do that, we'd be overcommitting players forward. And when we did sort of do that a little bit at the start of the season, we kept getting caught in terms of channels between wing backs and centre halves. Now it just seems defensively we're just weak regardless.
Yeah, as style of play is horrendous. It's awful to watch. I feel sorry for every fan that had to travel down all that way to watch that, because that wasn't even League Two standard. That was Vanarama relegation fodder, just launching the ball up long, hoping Cosgrove can hold on to it for longer than 5 seconds when everybody else can catch up with him. It shockingly bad. I mean, we've got one of the best midfields in the league, but we can't seem to string a pass together between all three of them. It's absolutely shocking. I said back in November that we were outperforming, well, Devante especially were outperforming his XG for the chances he were getting. He was scoring a lot more than he should have done. And he's still doing, even though he's not scored in 12 or 13. And I said once that stopped, we'd stop winning and we'd drop like a stone. Well, it's took a bit longer than I expected, but it's happening because we're just not creating anything near anybody else in the league. Neil Collins after the game said, that they've got a lot of big, strong bodies. Well, why play a long ball then? You're just playing into their hands at the end of the day. That's not an excuse. Keep the ball on the ground. If they're big and strong, then you play around them. No, no, we'll just keep thumping it forward, lads. It'll work, you know. I think they had about 10, 11 corners. We didn't win one header from any corner. Their striker, the Presley, were just absolutely dominating every centre back we had. Every player on that pitch in the air. He won every header. Jamie Reid running rings round us. Elliot List doing the same thing. Finlay Burns in midfield and Louis Thompson. They played two men in midfield. We had three. You wouldn't have thought that watching that game because they run rings around our three. You know, they were better on the ball. They were better at tackling. We haven't pressed since the first half against Bolton. That's the last time I saw us press with any real intensity or any care whatsoever. You know, and honestly, we ain't gonna make. I had somebody come round my house today and fix something for me, and he turned around and he says, "I can't see Barnsley making playoffs." If you'd have told me that a month ago, I'd have laughed at you. But this morning I said, "I hope we don't, because we're just going to get destroyed." Really, we are. We can't. Any team with any real ambition in this league are just going to wipe the floor with us because we look like we could not give a proverbial. We do not care. They're on that pitch. It looks like they're just going through the motions, looking they're trying, but they're not. You know, everybody's dropped off a cliff in terms of form. Roberts being one of the biggest, and I never thought I'd be saying that because, I mean, the free kick, yeah, he's hit with power, but it's right at him. I don't know why he's diving for it because his right foot's already there. All he needs to do is kick, you know, and it's away. But you know, I'm absolutely fuming with Collins with what he's letting happen, and he's defending it, and I hate that. I want an honest manager who's, if we play crap, tell us we play crap. Don't go around and say, what do you say? We we dominated the ball for the majority of the game. Yeah, in our final third. I'm sorry, but that's not dominating play. That's keeping the ball in your own half. You know that. We had eight. They had 8 shots on target. We had 2. I'm sorry, but that's not playoff form. You can't go away to somebody like Stevenage, which by all means they're not as good as we well on paper they're not, and only have 2 shots on target. And one of them were offside, as you said. The goal, I don't think it was a goal. I also think it was a penalty on Devante in the second half, but I'm actually kind of glad we didn't get it because if we'd have drawn this game, it would have just been yet another silver lining that he could say, "Oh, well, we tried," you know, and it was just another draw. You know, he's just too defensive a coach. The way we played in the last 6 minutes is how we should be playing every game from the start. You had Dijivine running up trying to support attacks. You had Josh Earl on the other side doing the same. You just had Luke Connell trying to get into area. I mean, I've been doing a lot of research on teams over the past week, looking at how they create chances. And they create chances by basically overloading. You've got midfielders overlapping strikers dropping deep as a DM, and the movement and the one-touch passing to be able to create chances is what gets you into them positions. But we are just too ponderous on the ball. We just sit there and just expect everybody else to move. None of the front guys move anywhere. You know, we'll get McAtee will drop every now and again. Devante will just stay on shoulder. It's just not good enough. Not good enough. And I'm hoping we don't go up anyway because if we do, we're just going to get destroyed because this coach is not good enough. Your mic's off.
I am. Interesting though, because realistically, when you look at the summer as well, because when you look at it as a full body of work, we're still sat fifth in league. We got 74 points. This exact same thing happened last season after we didn't get a result at Bristol Rovers. We sort of ended up falling into this territory of what happened there. And I get it to a degree of it's different, but also Neil Collins has had a hell of a lot more to deal with than what Michael Duff did last season, who could just pick up a much solid side and progress it forward and move
I
it
don't
forward.
think Michael Duff would have been well good enough either.
Well, that's the thing that like now we're going into territory of like, well, where's his budget at? Because now if you want a coach that comes and fixes that, you're not picking up someone that's
The
necessarily
last the
in
last
our.
coach I had any real confidence in is Daniel Stendel
So
because
you're
he
not
knew how to
Valera, not
attack.
Big Val
Yeah, and Big Val, yeah. But
or
I didn't
or
actually
Struber
go
that
to watch that. I mean, that were like
Struber that kept us up.
no.
Mm.
They just to overcome that 7 point deficit in about 10 games.
And has gone
Yeah,
on to do really well.
but
Struber.
that were against teams that were attacking us, and we could counter attack them. That Struber's football is similar to Duff's and Collins, where they are on the counter attack. That'll suit like playing. I want an attacking coach. I want a coach that's going to go and take it to teams.
I
Stevenage
get that, but then at the same time,
should be playing how we're playing.
when
They
you look at
should be.
Stendhal doing
There's a balance,
championship,
Craig. There is a balance, Craig.
yeah, when you look at Stendhal in championship, we got found out quick of you can't do that
But we
when you've got,
also lost as two centre backs, as goalkeeper, and a number of other players.
and that's exactly what Neil
So has
Collins was coming
Collins.
to this season.
Yeah, but at least Stendhal made a fist of it, and
Would-
we at least we looked like we were trying. At this stage in this game, do you know when our next goal's coming from? Because I can't see us scoring.
Which I mean, we are.
I go to watch
I
entertaining
understand.
football. I don't care if I lose if I lose 1-0 or I lose 5-4. I'd rather watch the 5-4. You know.
No, I get that completely, but I think the point of Collins for me, I completely agree with. Like, it's not a nice brand to watch of football. It's not exciting. It's not entertaining. There's a reason why I don't make the effort to come from Manchester to go and watch that game, to watch those games, especially at home, because I'd rather spend 5, 6 hours of my life doing something else because it's not nice to watch. But I can give him reprieves on what he's walked into and what happened in January as well for him in terms of there were the one player that was sort of going to be the one that turned it for us in Donovan Pine, sorry, and is now injured because when we had Pines, we looked a little bit better and we had moved on. You talk about that Bolton first half where it looked all right. He picked up a knock, and then since then we've not really been the same as a team.
Do you
Yeah,
know what worries me though, Josh? Is that I'm generally speaking, I would be a Collins advocate, and I agree with everything that you've said. What worries me now is progress under Collins, individual progress. That's what's concerning me. I think that under Duff, for example, Kitchen is an example of somebody that was a bit of a liability, asking, you were thinking you were going to get sent for every other game. You were an average League One player at best. And by the end of the season, beginning of this season, obviously he's gone to play in the Championship at quite a high level and he's doing reasonably well. That, I think you have to give credit to the coaching somehow last year. What worries me this year, now, from what I've seen last 6 games, 7 games, is individuals. Now, this might be mental rather than physically, but individuals regressing. Early's a big example. When he came in, I remember watching, went to Bolton. He'd been signed about 48 hours. He was amazing, outstanding. I was thinking, how have we signed him? How has nobody else signed? This guy's like a Rolls Royce of a player. And every game now, the last 3 games, he just doesn't look like the same player. He looks like I don't know if he's restricted or what, whether it's mental, and this is what's worrying about this team. MDG started shaky, massive progress. We were all saying how amazing he was. Middle of the season, fantastic. Again, yeah, he's still okay, but last few games, just, I don't know. And it's things like that. Connell even just doesn't seem to have the influence on the team. Now, he's not getting a lot of the ball, to be fair, for banging it straight over his head. But it's more that is more concerning for me. I agree everything you've said. I think Collins has been dealt an awful deal. How they play, I'll be honest, they can play awful if it's to watch if we're successful, because I'd like to see an entertaining game. I'd like us to be entertaining and I'd like us to win. But if you ask me, win at all costs. But you know what? Yeah, win at all costs. I'd want to win at all costs. That's my opinion. We're not winning at all costs and the football's awful. So at the minute, it's dreadful. But it's that, why our players seem to be getting worse. That's what worries me. Is it the coaching? Something's not happening, or do they not want to play, or have we got a real confidence crash?
I think that's a really good point there, Spinach, because when you look, it is sort of like the games prior to that Bolton game, what were we, 20 20 games unbeaten, something like that. And we'd scored, did we set a new record for the amount of games we'd scored in or almost beat it? I'm looking at you, Ali. You're the stats man
Well, I
for
know
these
that
kind of
today that
things.
losing 2 games is the first time we've lost 2 on the bounce since the third and fourth of the season. So this is the first time. So that's a big lump of time because that had been what, end of August, beginning of September, and yesterday was the first time we'd lost 2 on the bounce since then. So
I think it's a good point because when you look at it sort of as a season, as a full body of work, there has been progression in terms of players. Like you mentioned, MDG went from being shaky to being very solid. Devante start season, we sort of seen a side to him that we didn't really see necessarily last season too much, even though that was a successful season. Roberts as well came in, did a good job. Cadden, Phillips, all looks like they were progressing and getting better. But this last batch of games since Bolton, it's just something's just been different, and it's hard to put your finger on it necessarily in terms of what it is because there's no real obvious answer from what's necessarily different from before to what there is now.
For me, somehow we're disjointed, and for me, there's some disharmony in camp. I can't put a finger on it, but there's not. I don't think that togetherness is there anymore. For me, I don't understand why MDG's not playing central. Why is he playing him at, what is he playing him at left?
right.
I don't understand what he's doing with him. I'd prefer MDG central, but we've swapped and changed so much, haven't we? We haven't got a side what's constant anymore. So because we're changing every game in a sense, where's lineup and everything, with no continuity. It's as though they haven't played together, which that shouldn't be the case. Not training ground every other day. They know each other's game. I mean, last night, Cadden, I didn't think he had a good game. He didn't get forwards as much and get round back. So there's something not right. We're not playing the football that we, as Barnsley fans, are expecting, even though it's not been a good season. In terms of where we are, it's been, I think we've overproduced and got into the top 6 in a poor league. And now we're being found out. We're being found out a lot. And as I've said on social media, I can't see us getting another 3 points. And now we're positive, and I can't. Weird style of play we're playing at the moment, I can't see where goals are coming from.
And I think it's a good point. I think something you mentioned then that was quite poignant in terms of sort of the harmony missing and things like that, because it does feel like a little bit disjointed, Craig, in terms of how we've gone from that like middle chunk of the season where we looked fine and it were like top 2, could we even catch Portsmouth at some point, to now it's sort of like, are we looking over our shoulders? And are we actually even going to scrape into top 6?
Yeah, from what I can see, we've had little positive bounces to keep the momentum going ever since the summer. You know, when things started dropping off, we got Connell back. And then when things started dropping again, we had January where we had players coming in and some players leaving. And this is the only time when we've had no real changes in the past couple of months. So we've had nothing to give us any good feeling to go back on and go, oh, everything's going to be fine, you know. And I'm just going to clarify that I don't mind 3 at the back formations and playing like defensive style football if your team is defensively solid. You know, you can get away with that, but we're 16th in the league for goals conceded. We conceded way too many goals to be a defensive side. That's why I'm saying just attack then. If you can't defend, attack. You know, at least do something. Try something new. Do something different. We know that we're not good defensively. But the one thing we have got is youth and energy. And so I think we should use that to our advantage. We've got players like Jallo, Marsh, you know, these young kids that you could put up front and just say, look, as soon as the defender gets on the ball, chase him down, you know, and just try something different. But it just seems like we're just knocking his head against a brick wall, trying to do the same thing and expecting the same result. I think it was Einstein that said that were the main that were the definition of madness, trying to do the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. You know, And
Just on that, Craig, just a question. Do you think this bad run, as you mentioned there, we've had like them small little bumps to like knock us on and like push us on again and again, sort of throughout the season. Do you think this run of form now has come almost too late in terms of, because there's been a lot of talk about there's no plan B because plan A sort of been fairly all right in grabbing results, that now we're since maybe like 8 games left, that now Collins is probably panicking to a degree of now this doesn't work. What do we do? Because we've seen it the last couple of games, we switched to a four. We've gone back then to three at the back. We've gone to five at the back. We've dropped one up top. We've gone two up top. There seems to be a lot of chopping and changing in sort of shape as well as personnel within that. Herbie Kane being dropped for the first time this season in place of John Russell. Devante dropped for Cosgrove over the last couple of games. McAtee in and out of the side. Do you think that's sort of? Do you think Collins is panicking to a degree now? Is what I'm trying to
yeah,
say.
yeah, he is. He is. I mean, he comes out and he says what he needs to set to Sheffield Heaven and all this stuff, and he defends the players, but he can see just as well as we can what's going wrong. And he's flapping, he's scared. He knows that there's a chance we can miss playoffs. And like I said it last video we're in, it's the hope that kills you. The thing is, if we'd been sat ninth, right, performing like this, we'd be like, all right, well, we can kick on next season. But it's the fact that promotion's there in front of us, and we're all seeing it all just start to crumble away. Top two's crumbled away, and now playoffs are crumbling. And I think what annoys most fans most of all, and I think it does to me especially, is we're looking at teams around us. They're playing some wonderful stuff. You go to Peterborough, they're playing some great football, pressing, young, energetic. Every goal they score, I mean, the place erupts. You're watching Portsmouth do the same. I mean, even Bolton to an extent are playing good football while still playing three at the back. Even though I think overall they've got a better squad than us. Um, and as well, you're looking at I mean, Exeter play good football. Stevenage play good football. Well, it just seems like we're always that team that's supposed to be up there, but we are looking like we should be. It's I want to dominate games. I want teams to come to Oakville and think, you know what, we're not going to get to do much here today. But they're coming up to us today the minute and going, well, they're not going to give us much attacking threat. We just have to watch them on counter and just keep pressing hell out of the defenders, and we'll get chances. I think that's what it is for me at minute. I want to see some good football at Oakwell again.
I think that's one thing that's been lacking this season. Before we go on to Reading, I just want a quick tally up from you all. Tracy, are we going to make the top six?
Yeah.
Al,
Just.
Craig.
Yeah, but don't deserve it.
I'd agree. I think we are one win away from top six. I think one more win probably sees us through, because there'd be what, a 7 point gap and 9 points to play for, if that'd be right, off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So it's going to be difficult. You're looking then at everyone else below us, I think, to win the last three, which unlikely, because nerves can do a lot. Pressures for tyres, but sometimes it impacts you. And I think
And
that's
Lincoln's got
the
to
thing
play
for us.
Oxford, haven't they?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. That's the thing that saves us more than else. I think if they'd have to play each other and they can't take points for each other, it's a lot more precarious. Is a position which we're in. So looking forward now then to Saturday, and Reading make their way up to Oakwell. So looking at the stats pack, manager Ruben Selles, top scorer Sam Smith with 12, sat 17th in the league. Form quite strong for the position in which they are in. 3 wins, a draw and a loss in the last 5. Key player Lewis Wing, with a lot of goals and assists so far this season. Formation 4-2-3-1, and key stat is Reading have conceded the third highest amount of goals this season with 63, but have also scored 61. So as much as we're saying our football's boring, Reading's is certainly not, with what, 124 goals in their games so far this season. It's not bad going. Fair play to them. Tracy, how do you feel about this one? Because it seems early in the season, this had been fine given the amount of turmoil which you're going through, but it seems like Ruben Sellers has definitely got them rallied round, and now they are safe-ish. I hope it'll be an easy game for us.
To all intents and purposes, they pretty much celebrated last night. I watched the end of their game. Well, I watched it afterwards, and yeah, they were celebrating like they pretty much sort of secured the League One status for next year. I mean, he's done a really good job because wow, what a terrible year they've had. I mean, have they had? Is it 6 points in total? Was it a 4 and then a 2?
Yeah, they've had a lot, and then they knocked
Yeah,
out FA Cup by a non-league side. I can't remember who it was, but I watched.
yeah, deductions and whatever, and tennis balls on pitches, and yeah, they've had a terrible, terrible time. I mean, they pretty much had to rebuild the squad at the beginning of the season because it was just horrendous, weren't it? Yeah, I mean, they look to be playing with pretty much freedom, to be honest. So it's it. I'm a bit. I was fearful about Reading anyway because they always. I don't know. We never seem to do particularly well against them, and then yeah, they seem to have started to get it together. Like they've only lost one in the last 5, like you said, and yeah, they're not amazing away from home, but they got a draw. Was it at Lincoln, the last away game? Oh no, no, that was home. They won last night against Bristol Rovers 2-0, didn't they?
Yeah.
Don't say a lot because Bristol Rovers are in free fall, but still, and that Lewis Wing who you mentioned scored an absolute worldie. So yeah, I'm a bit fearful. Well, I would be fearful, and now it's multiplied with how we're playing. So yeah, and we're at home. It's like everything that goes against us, really. So yeah, I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to it. I will be venturing to it well on Saturday with a bit of trepidation, if I'm being honest. I think it could be a tough game for us.
I think the one thing is it's a side that at least they've won recently, which is a positive because normally teams go up against us who haven't
Yeah.
won, and then that's it. So at least they've won. Just to give a bit of optimism around us. Al, what do you reckon this one? As Tracy mentioned, they're starting to rebuild the side in the summer, but they've got some decent players in Sam Smith from Cambridge on a free as well. They've got who's obviously their top scorer, Lewis Wing, Andy Edam's still there, their captain. They've got
Harvey Nibbs, he's not bad, is he? Big centre
and
forward.
is Charlie Savage there as well, off the top of my head?
Uh,
On
yeah,
loan from Man United.
yeah.
Not
Femi
certain.
Aziz as well.
Yeah, they've got.
Aziz, I like Aziz. Aziz is a good
Mm,
player as well. So they've got pace in squad, haven't they? That's what's going to worry us on Saturday.
It's our
Uh,
kryptonite, isn't it?
it is, isn't it? Are they going to come apart both and give possession and then counter attack us because of pace they've got? Sides of and coaches have sussed us out at Oakwell, and we can't break down any team what sits back and they play what 4-2-3-1. So it's going to be tough, and it's his selection. It's who he picks, and do they want to play for him on Saturday? Do they want the points? I hope they do for fans, but it's going to be a tough ask on Saturday. Atmosphere at Oakwell is not going to be good if we don't get bowling back at net.
that will going to be our next question for you, Craig. In terms of the atmosphere, obviously, it does feel weird to be sat fifth in league and almost be so negative about it as well. In terms of like pre-season, where we're thinking of like top six would be like, well, we'd be all right with that, we'd be happy with it. But now we've got those. You mentioned it is the hope that kills you, and I think it's important that as fans we are supportive of those that are on the pitch on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of booing. You know, I've never booed the team off. You know, at the day, I still see that the human beings at the end of the day, and anything that you do from the stands, especially some of the language I get here, it get lobbed towards some players. You know, I'm not surprised when they don't turn up the week after. You know, it's they're still human at the end of the day. So, but the style of football it's got to change. We've got to see something like we are fifth, yes, we are, but that is more to individuals outperforming than it is the style of play that's forcing us to score goals. You know, um, but I think the crowd's going to turn on if we don't get a result. I think it's going to turn quite quickly as well. If we put it this way, if we concede in the first 20 minutes, you're going to see a lot of people start walking out. You're going to hear a lot of booing, because that's the way our club is, because we concede every. Oh, well, first goal, first 20 minutes, that's it. We know. And then there's, I think it's quite funny when people say, "Oh yeah, it got a new record of coming back from behind to win," this season. Yeah, but also we've allowed people to go in front that often against us that it being a new record has now become a thing. So I just want to see a team put in a 70, 80-minute performance where we're defensively sound and astute. We've got people moving and creating chances. I'm not asking for us to go out there and win 6-0. I'd take a 1-0, but a good performance. I want to see the performance more than I care about the result, if I'm quite honest with you, because I really need something to hang my hat on. Because at the minute, I'm not finding anything when I'm watching Barnsley.
No, I think sort of just how it is at the minute, innit, of just wanting to see that intensity. Tracy, how important is sort of it is an opportunity to get the fans back on side and quickly rectify um like this poor period in which we have been slowly sliding on since that Bolton game over a month ago now. Just one good performance and it almost makes everything fine again in a way because that one performance picks up 3 points. And we're currently into Reading side, which I'm hoping more than else they're up with their season. Their season's done. They've just about
They're
kept
off
themselves up.
beach.
Yeah, but you just know for a fact as well that Bristol Rovers wins probably inspired confidence, and they're just going to come and ruin people's
They'll be
seasons
having
now for end of
cocktails with
season.
Harlot on beach.
Because I've just got a feeling that they'll just come with even just with confidence now to come and ruin people's seasons. Because I'd do the same if I were a player. I'd be like, I'm going to ruin your season for no reason.
I
That's
think that
delicious.
it's really, really important, more sort of alluding to what Craig said, to get the crowd on side because they need to get the crowd on side because the majority of our crowd are not at the minute on their side. And I see why, completely see why. But I think to get the crowd on side, they have to come out, and for the first 20 minutes, they've got to give 100%, work so hard, commit, just show that they're passionate, they're motivated, and that they're going to give us some intensity. Because I think if that happens for the first 20 minutes, then the crowd will respond, and we'll see that that's happening, which is all that most fans want, and then the tide can turn. If we come out and do the sitting back, pass across the back, as Al says, if they do park the bus, well, if they park the bus, we've got to go for it because that is the way that's going to turn it. We have to be positive. I look back to that Bolton game, which seems to have ruined us, but for 60 minutes of that game, they ran themselves into the floor. The reason we lost that game, or drew it, we didn't lose, but it felt like we lost. The reason that we drew that game is because we gave so much in 60 minutes, and we should have been probably 4-0 up. And if we'd have been 4-0 up, then it would have been a different probably end result. But we didn't, and we died a death, and they ended up coming back. But that performance in 60 minutes would beat probably most teams in this league, I think. And we haven't done it since. It would have certainly beaten Cambridge, it would have beaten Cheltenham, it would have beaten Carlisle easily, etc. So I just think give that intensity and that performance, and we'll have no concerns until we come across maybe Bolton or Peterborough or whoever in playoffs. But that's what I want. I want to see. I want to see just effort, intensity, passion. That more than anything.
Yeah, I think it's been one thing that's been missing certainly over this period, Al, because as Tracy mentioned, they're brilliant first 6 minutes against Bolton. And the same thing happened away at Peterborough in terms of the quality in which we saw. We did see that intensity, got ourselves 2-0 up, and then again, same thing that happened against Bolton, wheels fell off, and we drew 2-2. But it's at least we're getting ourselves in front rather than doing this thing. Because I agree with you, Craig. It's a nothing stat. It's coming from behind. It just means that we've given a goal away. Whereas the last 2 years, we were actually in front. Like if you look at all that season, we were in front and dictating from that. So we only had a minimal sample size to actually go and turn around the game. And I think everyone made a massive point of that when it's realistically look at it now. We're giving a goal a game. We're giving at least one cheap goal away a game, and then we're having to score two minimum to turn it around.
As I says, it's handicap football, isn't it? You can't keep playing handicap football and giving the opposition a goal start. You've got to come out with intensity to take it to them, and we've not been doing that. I mean, yeah, start of the season, we were when we won 7-0, 20 minutes, we weren't in game against Port Vale, were we? And it turned after. So it don't work. But what I want to see is more intensity, more crisp passing, more movement, not playing pedestrian football across back three, to me to you, Chucker Brothers football. It's got to change. With 4 games left to cement our position in the playoffs, and we need momentum to go into playoffs. Because if we don't get any more points, I said I don't think we will. I hope we do. Then what's that going to do for our confidence going into a fine semi-final to get to Wembley? What's behind me? I'm hoping that that shirt gets a run out, but it might not. It might be put away in cupboard.
Yeah, I think we'll see if that makes its way out or not. I'll hover these next 4 games. Craig, prediction? How are you feeling for this one?
Um, I think they're just going to come here with a carefree attitude. It don't matter whether what they do. They're all playing for a contract next year. On Reading side of things, you know. Yidam coming back to Oakwell will have a point to prove. So if he plays as well, you know, I'm sure he'll get up. I think
He's their captain, isn't he? I think he'll play. Plays every
yeah,
week.
but he's been booed when we've been away down there as well. So I think last time they were up here, he didn't play. But
He's one of my favourite players. Ever since he
yeah,
dislocated his shoulder against Sheff Wednesday and tried to come back on pitch 4 times. Fair play for
Yeah,
that. I'll give him that. Fair play.
yeah, I think they could come up and just play like they ain't got a care in the world, and I think we're gonna be under so much pressure, we're gonna crumble under it. You know, I think we're gonna lose 2-0.
Interesting. I can see both sides of them in terms of it's easier to play without that pressure. And I think all it's doing at minute for us is ramping up more and
Like
more.
Femi Aziz, I mean, when we played against him, he talked had and I knew him, and I think he's probably going to do the same again.
We'll see. Good to know though. Tracy?
Um, well, Andy's not here, is he? So he's having time of his life somewhere, and he's somewhere. Well, no, I'm going to say hot, but it's probably not hot, is it? Where he is. So,
I have
um,
no idea where he is, you know. Al, do you
uh,
know?
yeah,
don't know.
is he not in Castleton in the Peak District? Or have I made that up?
It could well be.
Or maybe I've made it up. Maybe he's in Barbados. Anyway, he's not here. So, in honour to Andy and ending on a far positive streak, we're going to win 2-1.
Someone had
Do
to
you
do it.
believe that, or are you just saying that?
What's my face say?
Someone
He
had to do
says you
it.
don't really want to say what you're really thinking.
Come on.
She's just like PG, give up.
Al?
I can't see where his next 3 points are coming from. I'll take a point. I'll take a draw,
Not
one
mention
apiece.
that, Al. Not mention that you can't see where his next 2 points is coming from.
To be fair, yeah, you've not. Do you want to elaborate more on that?
Stuff 3 points. I'd take an attacking movement that ends with a shot on target, please. From his strikers.
Do a sell like what's behind me, Thomas? 1-6, 6-1 to Reading. No, I'm not going that. But you never know, do you? I mean, it's not a Fortress Oakwell anymore, is it? We're kind, we're generous. It's Yorkshire hospitality.
We've got cakes made out of jelly. That's how much of the fortress it is.
What are you going for, Al? 6-1 Reading?
One apiece.
No, one apiece. Interesting. I think you're all been far too negative. I think this is
I think that air dye is getting to your brain.
nah. It's that we've just got one. It's just one more win, realistically. One more win, and it's gonna be more difficult against any other sides. And you don't want to leave it to the last day because then that's a pressure cooker for no
Yeah, but
reason.
that sounds like hope, not a prediction.
No, it sounds exactly like I will do it because we do it in the hardest way possible. So you best believe there'll be some sort of scenario we have to beat Northampton by a certain amount of goals to secure top six.
You're going to
But
leave it to the last day. It's guaranteed, isn't it?
it's just how we do it. But I'm going to go positive. I don't think we'll be ready 3-1. And they're not interested. They've been and done it. Ruben says he'll get them this week off. You know, they've more secured safety now. And they'll just rock up and just be like, go on, lads. You have yourselves a nice season and we'll see you next year. Is what we'll be going for. So I'm going to go 3-1. Right. So we'll be back outside Oakwell for instant reaction on Saturday after the Reading game outside Club Shop. If you want to come down, get on the show, do a fan cam, come and find us, and we'll be more than welcome to come on. And yeah, let's hope we can grab 3 points and secure that top six.